24 minutes past the hour. Welcome to Wake Up America. So it's day 7 of the government shutdown. 2 dueling measures to fund the government and end the shutdown failed in the Senate again on Monday. Same is expected to happen today. House Speaker Mike Johnson canceled plans for the House of Representatives to return to Washington, saying there's nothing for the House to negotiate. Well, let's welcome in Georgia Congressman Rich McCormick. Good morning, Congressman. So we are now a full week into the shutdown. Doesn't seem like Democrats are any closer to coming to their senses. Where's the path out of this?
Well, Schumer's got to come to his senses and make sure they vote the right way. This is a continuing resolution, which by definition is a compromise to begin with. They seem to think that there's some sort of ground to be gained here. There's none. I will not vote for additional spending. We've already admitted that we're about 30% in deficit spending per year. We're approaching $40 trillion of debt. The interest payments are over $1 trillion per year, and they have no plan to reduce the amount of federal spending in the government. Matter of fact, they want to expand it. And this is just wrong and irresponsible. And we used to have about a third of all government spending was from the federal level. Now it's 2/3 thanks to the Affordable Care Act and other expansions. We got to be done with this.
Yeah, Congressman, to that point, I mean, obviously House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries doesn't have a plan. He's just got theatrics. He actually wants to debate the Speaker on the House floor. Here's the Speaker's response.
Jeffries just challenged you to debate on the House floor today. Do you see yourself debating him, or would you?
When the poll says that about 13% of the people approve of your messaging, then you make desperate pleas for attention, and that's what Hakeem Jeffries has done. Look, my friend Hakeem had his shot. We debated all this on the House floor, as you know, before we passed our bill. He spoke for 7 or 8 minutes. He had all of his colleagues lined up. They gave it their best shot, and they argued, and they stomped their feet and screamed at us and all that. And still, we passed the bill in bipartisan fashion and sent it over to the Senate. The House has done its job.
Pretty clear there, Congressman. Hakeem Jeffries is all about the soundbite, not solutions.
That's right. Matter of fact, the more the public gets educated on this, I think the more they'll realize how much the Democrats lack any plan whatsoever for the future of America. And I mean that sincerely. Probably the biggest challenge we have for the future is our debt. We have one of the highest debts to GDP ratios in the world for a developed country. It's sad, especially as the industry standard of currency. We have to be more responsible if we want to keep our place in history.
Yeah, Connor, you recently posted on X calling on Senators Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff to end the theatrics, work with Republicans, reopen the government. I mean, this is obviously a Senate problem now. The House did its job already. Do you actually see this being a big midterm issue that people are going to remember that it's Democrats that closed the government and refused to give paychecks to law enforcement and our first responders and our military?
Absolutely. This is an easy way out. Matter of fact, 2 Democratic colleagues in the Senate in Georgia, which should be a totally Republican state, and there's other states like that, by the way, are going to be in jeopardy when they come up for their elections. Ossoff is coming up in 26. People in Georgia should be paying attention because they are responsible for the shutdown. They are responsible for their votes on transgenders competing in women's sports and not supporting Israel. There's a bunch of things that they're going to have to come to answer for, and I think this is going to hurt them badly.
Yeah, lastly, before we go, whether it's part of a deal or later down the road, you're going to eventually have to talk about this demand from the Democrats extending COVID-era Obamacare subsidies, which basically are giving tax dollars to people who make $500,000 a year. I mean, what are your thoughts on the fact that the only reason why Obamacare is succeeding is because Democrats keep using tax money to buy down and hide its failures from the American people?
Yeah, realize that Medicaid was always meant to be a state-run program. States have to balance their budget. Feds, we just print it off and put it on the backs of our children. The fact is, since the Affordable Care Act and the expansion of Medicaid, under the guise of basically private industry that's making 230% more profits now. 230% more profits while you pay about 90% more for your premiums, where they have a third of all claims denied, where doctors make 30% less. That's the Affordable Care Act in a nutshell. You're not benefiting from it. Next year, you'll have an increase of 9% of your premiums because the federal government got way too involved in this, and we haven't held insurance companies accountable. They make up 4 of the top 10 Fortune 5 countries in America. I think 7 of the top 20. We got to stop this madness. Supplementing big business and billionaires on the backs of American taxpayers and our future generations is just wrong.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Congressman Rich McCormick, and by the way, happy birthday, I hear.
Thanks.
All
I
right.
don't like to acknowledge those anymore, but I appreciate the sentiment. Semper
Made it
Fi.
another time around the sun. That's the key, right?
That's right.
All right, thank you. Well, up next today, as we've been